Hey everyone! Welcome to The Young and the Restless. I'm Jane, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love Young and the Restless, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in. Spoilers for The Young and the Restless suggest that the private meeting between Audra Charles and Kyle Abbott might have been captured on camera. When Kane Ashby informed Chance Chancellor that the bedrooms were not equipped with cameras, was he lying? There has been no lack of deceit since Kane returned to the scene and declared that he was the mastermind behind Aristotle Dumas' business. After lying for years about leading a double life, Kane eventually lied about his guests being stranded without mobile service. Because of this, Kane's statements can never be relied upon. Regardless of the subject, it's prudent to entertain the idea that Kane might be lying. Chance seems taken aback by Kane's extensive security video system and the number of cameras on the house during night's chaos. Kane asserted that there were no cameras in the bedrooms, acting as though it was commonplace for an estate of his size. Could Kane have been lying about the absence of bedroom cameras as well, given his numerous prior lies? Even if Kane didn't want to come across as creepy, we wouldn't be shocked if he kept an eye on his visitors in the sleeping vehicles. If there is film from a bedroom camera, Kyle and Audra may run into problems. What if there is a covert video showing Kyle making out with Audra and getting on top of her in bed while just sporting a towel? Claire Newman is unlikely to approve of Kyle taking things too far with Audra, as Diane Jenkins Abbott has already noted. Even though Kyle didn't sleep with his ex-boyfriend, he still made a lot of mistakes. Kyle is obviously postponing his admission that Victor Newman hired Audra to set the trap and carry out the seduction plan. Kyle doesn't want to cause Claire any more problems because she is still grieving for Cole Howard. Kyle might even want to completely forget about the incident, but if he was seen on camera with Audra, that strategy might backfire. We could definitely see Kane utilizing such a recording as leverage. To get what he wants, Kane may threaten Jack Abbott and Kyle. Kane might potentially offer Victor the recording in exchange for Chancellor or something else that would be of use to him. If the video ends before Kyle retreats, Victor might see this as evidence of betrayal and exploit it to ruin Claire and Kyle's romance. Additionally, Victor might be able to use this proof to try to force Kyle out of town and collect $5 million from him. In any event, fans of YNR are aware that the security cameras in Nice received a lot of attention. Is it possible that there is, in fact, bedroom tape that captures Kyle and Audra's scandalous private moments? We'll keep you informed of any concerning developments as Kyle and Audra face more challenges ahead, according to spoilers for The Young and the Restless. In a startling change of events, there have been rumors that Kyle Abbott and Audra Charles, the power couple from The Young and the Restless, may have had their private meetings secretly taped, raising concerns about their privacy. Allegations that Tucker McCall's devoted friend, Kane, deceived them about the existence of security cameras in their personal space are the root of the controversy. If confirmed, this betrayal might have disastrous repercussions for the high-stakes business and personal conflicts going on in Genoa City, in addition to Kyle and Audra. Known for their astute business sense and complex love tales, Kyle and Audra have been negotiating a delicate partnership that combines unquestionable chemistry with career aspirations. Tension has arisen from their covert relationship, especially with Kyle's ex-wife Summer Newman and Audra's own complicated relationships inside the Abbott and Newman empires. However, it's likely that their intimate moments were revealed in the most intrusive manner possible. Serious questions are raised by the scandal. Did Kane purposefully lie about the bedroom's lack of cameras while carrying out Tucker's orders? If so, was this a component of a bigger plan to manipulate or blackmail Kyle and Audra? Tucker McCall has never shied away from using dishonest methods, particularly to obtain an advantage over his competitors. Any incriminating footage may be used as a weapon in the ongoing corporate conflicts, as Audra is a growing figure at Newman Media and Kyle is a crucial role at Jabot. Beyond the immediate repercussions, this circumstance compels a more thorough analysis of deceit and trust in Genoa City. If Kyle's private life is used as a weapon against him, he could find himself in a precarious situation, already grappling with his decisions and allegiances. Scandal might destroy AUDRA'S carefully cultivated image, as she has worked hard to preserve her independence and reputation. Furthermore, if Kane is really involved, his loyalty to Tucker might come at the expense of his own morals, or even his freedom, if there are legal ramifications. In Genoa City, secrets are never kept hidden for very long, as viewers of The Young and the Restless are aware. The consequences of recording Kyle and AUDRA'S intimate encounter could reverberate across several narratives, breaking relationships, altering power balances, and kindling new grudges. The more important question is still, how far will Tucker go to maintain his power, and who else is in danger? There is little doubt that this story is far from ended, and that everything for Kyle, AUDRA, and everyone else caught in the crossfire might alter once the truth is revealed. The recording of Kyle and AUDRA'S private conversation has caused a flurry of controversy and brought up important issues of deceit, privacy, and trust in their social circle. Given Kane's clear guarantee that there were no cameras in the bedrooms, many people are wondering how such a breach could have happened after learning that their private moment was secretly recorded. Beyond the initial shock and humiliation, this episode has far-reaching ramifications that touch on permission, monitoring, and the morality of covert recording in private areas. Since Kyle and AUDRA had every reason to think their privacy was secured, the violation is extremely personal to them. Previously regarded as a haven, the bedroom was abruptly changed into a place of exposure and vulnerability, forcing individuals to struggle with feelings of violation and betrayal. Since Kane's trustworthiness is now being closely examined, the fact that he had earlier denied the existence of cameras in the bedrooms only serves to increase the level of mistrust and hurt. Was he lying on purpose, or did he not know he was being watched? Given how difficult it is to rebuild trust once it has been damaged, the response to that question may have a significant impact on their future personal and professional relationships. The recording circumstances are still unclear, and there are differing reports of how the video was acquired and who was in charge of its distribution. While some assume a more focused invasion of privacy, others hypothesize that the cameras were a component of a larger surveillance system set up for security reasons. Since illegal recording in private areas is illegal in many places, there may be serious legal repercussions if the cameras were actually concealed without permission. Depending on the purpose of the filming and the intended use of the video, Kyle and AUDRA might have a case. However, it is more difficult to measure the emotional toll. Knowing that one's most intimate moments were recorded and possibly disseminated without consent has a significant psychological impact and can cause feelings of paranoia, embarrassment, and rage. This violation might feel like a severe betrayal to AUDRA, who may already be negotiating complicated dynamics in her relationships, making it even harder for her to feel safe and trust people. Kane's involvement in this controversy is especially concerning in light of his earlier claims regarding the lack of cameras. His intentions become the main focus of investigation if he intentionally misled Kyle and AUDRA. Was he acting on behalf of someone else, or was he trying to hide his own involvement? It is impossible to rule out the idea that he was forced or tricked into lying, but it is also impossible to rule out the potential that he participated in the surveillance. Friends and associates now doubt his reliability, putting his reputation in jeopardy. Who put the cameras, and why, if he didn't know about them? The absence of definitive answers only encourages conjecture, with hypotheses ranging from personal grudges to business espionage. Concerns about who else might be in danger are raised by the possibility that such private video could be used as a tool for public humiliation or blackmail. Beyond the people immediately engaged, this episode has wider ramifications that touch on social concerns about privacy in a society that is becoming more and more monitored. The distinction between invasion and security has become dangerously hazy because of the widespread use of smart devices, hidden cameras, and hacking skills. Cases like Kyle and AUDRA'S serve as a sobering reminder that privacy is never guaranteed, despite the widespread belief that houses are safe from prying eyes. Whether for protection or amusement, the normalization of surveillance has made many people less sensitive to the moral transgressions it may involve. In the name of drama or financial gain, personal boundaries are frequently ignored in the culture that reality TV, social media, and voyeuristic entertainment have produced. This occurrence challenges people to think about where the boundary between private dignity and public curiosity should be drawn, forcing them to confront those norms. The road ahead for Kyle and Audra is paved with tough choices. Do they try to move on discreetly in the hopes that the controversy will eventually disappear, or do they take legal action and risk more public exposure? Their relationship may suffer as a result of the emotional fallout, since the pain of experiencing such an intimate violation can leave long-lasting wounds. Additionally, their trust may be put to the test, especially if one of them has doubts about how the recording was discovered. To deal with the fallout, counseling or mediation might be required, although the wounds from such a betrayal might never completely heal. Kane's future is still up in the air. He could cause irreversible harm to his relationships and career if it is discovered that he purposefully misled. It might be hard for others to completely trust him again, even if he is cleared, because of the lingering mistrust. As expected, the public's response to the issue has been divided. Some have expressed sympathy for Kyle and Audra, while others have resorted to sensationalism or victim blaming. A feeding frenzy in the media and social circles is frequently caused by the commercialization of personal drama, particularly when it involves sex and betrayal. In addition to making the suffering of people involved worse, this also supports a culture that trivializes or even celebrates invasions of privacy. Despite the actual harm that such content can cause, the ethical responsibility of individuals who consume or distribute it is rarely considered. The experience of Kyle and Audra emphasizes the necessity of increased social and legal accountability for upholding individual boundaries. Additional information that reveals the truth about the tape may surface as the story progresses. The primary questions are still unresolved until then. Who was at fault? For what reason was it done? How many more could be impacted? The event serves as a warning about how easily privacy may be infringed in the digital age and how brittle trust is. The effects will probably be long-lasting for Kyle, Audra, and Kane, changing their reputations and relationships in unexpected ways. It serves as a reminder to the rest of society to challenge the guarantees we are given regarding our privacy, as this case shows that sometimes those guarantees are just lies. As he followed Audra back to the Dumas estate, which had previously seen its share of secrets, treachery, and surveillance, Kyle had no idea what kind of maelstrom he was entering. Kane had maintained for weeks that the bedrooms were secure and impervious to the estate's security system's constant surveillance. He had repeatedly told Audra that her personal time was secure and that whatever transpired behind those tasteful mahogany doors remained between the walls and the satin sheets. But Kane was lying, and now that falsehood could destroy everything Kyle and Audra had worked so hard to create behind closed doors. That evening was never intended to be more than a brief moment of escape from the political chaos of the boardrooms of Chancellor Winters and Newman, a snatched hour of passion. Leaning against the edge of the dresser, Kyle watched Audra with the same youthful focus he had when they first met, while Audra poured herself a glass of dark red wine, resting on the lip of her sleek black frock. Tension was constantly present, but it was the kind to which they had both become accustomed. "There aren't any cameras here, correct?" As he started to unbutton his shirt, Kyle made a joke and half-smirked. "Do you really believe Kane would allow us to take that chance?" With an arched brow, Audra inquired, but Kyle shook his head. "The bedrooms are off limits," he stated. That was the only assurance they required. He doesn't want a lawsuit. If anyone ever witnessed it, what transpired next, beneath tangled sheets and whispered names, was the kind of encounter that could ruin careers, change relationships, and ruin reputations. However, someone had. Due to Kane Ashby's deception. The cameras were there, skillfully set into specially designed light fixtures and concealed behind elaborate mirrors. Even the most experienced spy wouldn't guess it because it was so cleverly hidden. And now the video has been accessed. The 8-minute tape was already making the rounds in encrypted group conversations, being transferred from hand to hand within Genoa City's most privileged circles like a nasty secret that everyone wanted but no one wanted. It had been spotted by Nate Hastings. There was no doubt Victor Newman had seen it. When Audra clawed her way onto Kyle like it was a conquest, Phyllis Summers was the first to respond, storming out of society in a rage. With her laptop shining in the dark and tears flowing down her cheeks, Summer, who hadn't spoken to Kyle in weeks following their last acrimonious exchange, sat still in her condo. She muttered to no one, "He told me it was over." Ambition, desperation, and arrogance were all placed on top of the sexual betrayal. Although Audra Charles had always experimented with fire, this time she had set something off that even she was powerless to stop. Kane, meanwhile, was fumbling. It was not intended for the video to leak. Yes, it was recorded, but just for insurance purposes, never to be shared or utilized. When he defended the placement of cameras in chambers intended for intimacy, sleep, and secrets, he was telling himself a lie. However, the server had been compromised, or worse, he had been betrayed by someone inside. Carter? Damien? Even though Lily was supposed to be out of town, her name was mentioned. With his jaw tight and his mind racing through potential options, Kane paced the wine cellar. Dumas's career would be over if this were made public. Investors would go on foot. It would be flooded with lawsuits. Audra would also dismember him. Retaliation was nothing new to her. Kyle wasn't a fool either. His first emotion upon learning of the existence of the tape was rage rather than shame. With his fists knotted, he stormed into Kane's office and demanded to know why the no-bedroom cameras regulation had been abandoned. "Kane, you swore. You swore as you saw my eyes." Kane attempted to reassure him by stating that he never meant for the video to be released. "Kyle, that was backup. How many enemies do you know I have?" Kyle didn't want reason, but I needed leverage. He desired blood. He lunged, knocking Kane against the bookcase after grasping him by the collar. "You can't exploit me to your advantage. Or Audra." Kane did not defend himself. Perhaps he felt bad about it. Perhaps because he secretly realized that this may be disastrous for them both. Audra was already planning her retaliation across town. She didn't hold off till Kane groveled or Kyle arrived. She went directly to Tucker. He was the one who could reverse engineer the source of a leak and clean up a digital disaster. She slipped her tablet over the table and added icily, "I need you to bury it." Tucker smirked as he looked up after watching the first 30 seconds of the video. "You always chose the worst spots to be careless." "Don't be silly," Audra yelled. Without arguing, Tucker said, "This could take me down." He called a few people. A private cybersecurity company was cleaning up all known copies of the video from private servers and the cloud in a matter of hours. However, the harm had already been done. The lie underlying the leak was now the problem, not the leak itself. What else was Kane concealing if he had lied about the bedrooms? And had he recorded anyone else? Soon after, other Dumas estate occupants and visitors began to worry if their intimate chats, passionate arguments, or romantic moments were likewise preserved in a digital vault. Elena frightened since she had spent the night with Nate on a particularly stormy night. With a trembling voice, she called him and asked, "Do you believe we were also recorded?" Nate wasn't certain. And the trust that had just started to be restored was shattered by that uncertainty alone. Kane was called in for a private meeting by Victor Newman in the meanwhile. It was a warning, not a discussion. Victor's voice was low and menacing as he continued, "You're lucky I don't bury you myself. You exposed my grandson to danger. Without his permission, you recorded him. You don't know me at all if you believe that Newman Enterprises won't make you disappear over this." Kane swallowed hard, understanding that he was now surviving a crisis rather than merely managing it. The Chancellor Winters were also affected. Jill summoned Devin and Billy to a private meeting to talk about completely abandoning the Dumas project. With an icy tone, Jill declared, "I will not allow our name to be associated with a sex scandal involving surveillance and manipulation." Billy agreed for once. "This goes beyond a single leak. It has to do with trust. And Kane is no longer trusted. Kyle and Audra, on the other hand, attempted to remain calm in public but were falling apart in private. Kyle wanted to take charge, spin the tale, and go to the press first. Audra didn't agree. The video is validated the moment we make a statement. People will care more and think it's real. It is real, Kyle yelled. Neither of them could deny the fact that, and they already care. The video was evidence of something the world had only conjectured about, not only a leak. Pixels and shadows recorded their affair, their chemistry, and their betrayal of those around them. It was impossible for Kyle to move around Genoa City without feeling like someone was watching him. It was impossible for Audra to enter a gathering without hearing the judgments being murmured. In ways they hadn't anticipated, they were both humiliated, raw, and exposed. Kane, too? He was radioactive. The fallout was personal as well as professional. Lily learned. Her eyes were flaming as she faced him. You assured me that we had nothing to conceal. Dumas was about repairing your reputation, you said. It was, Kane remarked quietly. So why are you behaving like the same cunning jerk who destroyed all of his relationships? That was more devastating than any treachery in the boardroom. Because Lily was the only one who had consistently supported him. Now, once more, he had betrayed her faith. The scandal persisted as the days went by. Hashtags were popular. Columns of gossip conjectured. Newsrooms were inundated with anonymous emails asserting the existence of additional material. Some even implied that hidden recordings had been made of other couples, including Phyllis and Tucker, Nate and Elena, and Nick and Sharon. With Kane Ashby at its core, it turned into a digital witch hunt. Kyle stopped going to public events. He stopped returning Summer's calls, not because he felt bad about it, but rather because he was at a loss for words to describe what he had done, what he had allowed to happen.